Live from Tipsy Steer and High Pines, welcome to Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck on the Gopher Sports Network from Learfield. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck is brought to you by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck is also brought to you by Tipsy Steer and High Pines, located at County Road C in Snelling, proud sponsor of Gopher Football. And by Cub, the official grocer of Gopher Athletics. Now, here's the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm.
It's a bye-week edition of Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck. Welcome to everyone here. Glad to be along. Minnesota coming off that big win in Pasadena over UCLA. A come from behind excellent second half and a 21-17 win over the Bruins. We will certainly talk about that upcoming. We have a unique program on this bye week. The head coach and most of the coaching staff out of town recruiting. So en route as we speak, or close to as we speak, to the Tipsy Steer and High Pines are two of the key players on this team, particularly on offense, quarterback Max Brosmer and wide receiver Daniel Jackson. We will hear from them when they arrive. They practiced this morning. They had a little bye week get-together. They're going to practice a few times this week, including today. So they're going to snatch them up right as they get done with practice, throw them in the car, and they'll be here shortly. Justin Gard is here as always. JG, good to see you.
I'm not going to lie, I missed California a little bit.
Yeah, it was hard getting on that plane and coming back.
And, people were telling me it was beautiful here yesterday. It was like 52 degrees. Yeah. I couldn't disagree more with what they said. It was, but everybody had a great time out there.
Yeah.
It was a trip we were all looking forward to, and some people went like Wednesday to Monday. Some people are still out there. I'm glad, really great to see you, but yeah, I could have used the bye week in California myself.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have both just stayed out there. That'd have been fine too.
Next time.
Could have done the show from out there someplace. And it was a fun night. 15,000 or so Gopher fans, and it was, the stadium just was incredible inside that mountain range and everything else. Everything that you hear about it turns out true, even if it's a regular season game. It was pretty amazing.
It was awesome. So the social was good. I heard the tailgate was fun. We were working, so
yeah.
Kudos to everybody that put trips together and went out there, because just being on the field, it was that you could feel the impact of all those people. Yeah. It was great.
So while we wait for the guys to get here, Max Brosmer and Daniel Jackson, we have former Gopher Jeremiah Carter here, and he works with the university for a long time. He was in compliance, making sure that there were no rules being broken and all those
Super
things.
fun job.
Super fun job.
Yeah.
One of the great jobs in America, no question about it. And now he has transitioned his role a little bit into kind of being a liaison. What is your official title? First of all, good to see you, Jeremiah, as always.
Yeah, good to see you too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, what is your official title?
I'm Senior Associate Athletic Director. I'm in charge of NIL policy and risk management.
All right, so you were kind of oversee some of this, make sure everything is on the up and up. And how much has the athletic landscape, not only nationally, but certainly here locally within the Gophers, how much has it changed in the last 2 years? And it seems like it changes new news, new information almost daily.
Yeah, in the NIL era here, we measure time in days, and it changes since the last day, because every day, every week, every month, it's something new, and it's a matter of planning for what is coming, but then also dealing with on the ground realities every day.
So how does that all get communicated? Like when a new ruling comes down or something, or a new rule changes, or hey, this wasn't allowed before, now it's allowed, or we think this might be allowed, we should plan for it. Like, how do you communicate that, whether it is with PJ or Ben or Don or Bob or whoever it is, or Keegan, on this is what we're thinking, this is what we think we can do, and then we can move forward with it?
Yeah, great question. The biggest thing is understanding where it's potentially going, so that you can have those conversations and make plans. Now, part of the challenge here has been a lack of clarity. You don't know exactly what the rules are going to be. We know that, for instance, revenue share is supposed to start next year, but we don't know exactly what that looks like. We don't know the exact amounts. We don't know, who's going to be allowed to do what and how that's going to work out. So you have to plan for a bunch of different things. A big part of it is having conversations with the coaches about, well, what are your priorities? Where, what makes the most sense for you? And then trying to figure out how we can fit that in when we do get the rules.
And from that standpoint, then, as you oversee everything, what kind of impact at a place like Minnesota can NIL have?
So I know that we certainly have people who aren't necessarily big fans of NIL or haven't been, but I take it from the perspective. Since I was 17 and I stepped foot on campus at the University of Minnesota, I have been not just a player, a coach, an administrator, but also just a Gopher football fan, and I think that this has the ability to make a tremendous impact on the University of Minnesota and our ability to compete nationally. You've already seen some of the impact really this season, where there's a whole lot more parity across all of college athletics. But especially in football, in the Big Ten, anybody can beat anybody in a week. Right, you're losing that really, really high top end. You're also losing the bottom end too. So it's every week everybody has an opportunity to go out and compete.
Well, I've heard the co-founder of Dinkytown Athletes, Derek Burns, who I assume you know fairly well. He's described it, and I think this is a great way to describe it, that gone are the days where a school like Alabama is just going to stockpile a bunch of talent because they can, and everybody wants to play there. People want to play, so in a way, that helps a school like Minnesota. But on the flip side, there's no teams that are bad anymore because talent is being dispersed equally. Is that you've got a big PowerPoint here, but is that what you've seen as well? That it's pretty much talent now is being spread over everybody. It's not just a handful of teams. Now, obviously, they're still going to get the ones you hear about in the news and the ones you read about and maybe the higher profile recruits and transfers and things like that. But it seems like talent is being sifted all over the country, and that's where a school like Minnesota can really benefit.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And part of that is because what a program like Minnesota can offer, it's now more than just you can play here and have a scholarship, right? Which is effectively not a lot different from what, any other Power 5 institution can offer from an experience standpoint. Now there are also other benefits that come along with it where they can actually compare from one school to another. The impact this last offseason, which, I've been working with Derek for a long time and does a tremendous job at Dinkytown Athletes. The impact last football offseason, which is really the first one where I can look at it and say, we had a lot more resources available. And when Coach Fleck and his staff went out recruiting, it wasn't a topic that they had to avoid. Right. They could talk about the resources that were available. They could talk about our relationship with Dinkytown Athletes. As an important stat that I point to, from the day Coach Fleck got to the University of Minnesota, all the way through this past offseason, we had gotten a total of 8 transfers from Power 5 institutions, total in that amount of time. Last year, we added 8 players from Power 5 institutions just in the last offseason. And you can see the impact that they've had on the field all year this year.
And as you look at that as well, there's many tentacles now to this. The rules have changed just from the start, right? The university was supposed to be hands off on this. This was totally, when this started, was going to be totally separate. Then that has shifted. That didn't last. And now it's shifted into, and I don't even know all the rules at this point, but now you can have a more hands-on approach. You can work with Dinkytown Athletes. You can work with Learfield, who, operates the radio network and different things, and broker deals for student athletes to gain money. And then there are even separate deals that you might not even have a role in at all, right? I mean, kind of take us through how the whole thing works that way.
Yeah. So there are a couple different places where an NIL deal will come from for an athlete. So some athletes are high profile enough where they can get a deal on their own, that kind of traditional brand deal. They get approached either through, we have a marketplace on gophersports.com that businesses go to. Oftentimes they get reached out to through social media. In some cases, they have agents that are going out and getting deals for them. But another place that it comes through is, when it does have the University of Minnesota involved. Really fun to see, the Affinity Plus trains, wrap trains with Mara Braun and Isaac Azuma, rolling through Dinkytown. Right. That's been fun to watch, right? Well, that's a brand deal. That's an NIL deal for them that helps them out. But then there's also, what runs through Dinkytown Athletes, which, they've been able to really, really grow over the last 2 years and offer their members, benefits that ultimately come come down to it's real NIL. It's access to athletes. This Thursday they have an autograph signing after women's basketball open practice. Next Friday, the same thing for men's basketball. The number of events that they have that their members have access to is really been getting unprecedented access to athletes.
It seems too there's a cultural part of this that maybe there's some Minnesotans a little uncomfortable still with the idea of, hey, we're paying student athletes, where maybe there's other programs that have been around a while, particularly in the South, that hasn't that culturally is a little different.
Call them out, man.
Yeah.
Name names.
But you understand where I'm headed with this.
Yeah.
Now there's an opportunity here for Gopher fans to have an impact, and as it gets more comfortable, what is the best way for a Gopher fan, whatever the range may be, big time money guy to, hey, I'm a recent grad that isn't making much money but want to help. So how do they do that? What's the way?
Yeah, I think the first thing to comment on is we have, as a compliance person for a long time, I have heard from our coaches about what other programs are doing, right? And this is going on 10 plus years in compliance. I've heard, well, this school's doing this school's doing this school's doing this. And at Minnesota, we are going to do things the right way. And that's great. Like, that's what we need to do. We're going to do things the right way. But that meant that we couldn't be competitive in that space with, whatever that offer is. Now we can. And it's within the rules, and it's what we are, we're allowed to do it. So now it's a matter of making sure that we have everybody involved, right? We have our fan base involved, we have our donor base involved, and we have the local corporate community involved as well. DinkyTownAthletes.com is you can sign up for memberships there. $10 a month all the way up to $500 a month. They can work directly with companies and with donors. But the main thing is that if you want to see, our teams be competitive in this new era of college athletics, you got to be a participant.
Yeah, and get comfortable with it.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. No doubt. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. Again, we're waiting on Max Brosmer, Daniel Jackson as well here. We're having some fun here at the Tipsy Steer in High Pines. We want to also thank alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors. They should be on your team roster if you're selling a business. Get your Sunbelt no-cost confidential business valuation today. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com. They have their usual table here, and we thank them for their support. Stay with us. It's from the Tipsy Steer in High Pines. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield.
No matter who you are or what you do, there's a Ford vehicle that can help you own the day. Make life on the go a walk in the park with the new Ford Explorer. Become the MVP of the work site with the unrivaled performance of a new built Ford Tough F-Series truck, the best-selling trucks in America. Or discover what it really means to adventure in the great outdoors with the new Bronco Sport. Whether it's for work or play, there's a Ford with a great deal waiting at your local Northland Ford dealers. Don't wait. Get behind the wheel of a new Ford today. Based on calendar year total sales.
Are you looking for concert or sports tickets? As a local Minnesota company, Ticket King is a company you can trust. They have seats to fit every budget and even offer parking or tailgating passes, and all tickets are guaranteed. Each order is personally attended to by one of our dedicated customer service representatives who are committed to providing you with a courteous, professional, quick, convenient experience. Visit us at TicketKingOnline.com or call us directly at 612-341-4131.
Kids, some days keeping up with them takes everything you've got. And in return, they give us everything they've got. At M Health Fairview Pediatrics, we've made it our life's work to care for kids. To do anything and everything we can for every kid who comes through our doors. Because the most important people in your world are our whole world. Learn more about a world of care just for kids at mhealthfairviewpeds.org.
Get ready to win big with Window Concepts. Enter the Home and Away giveaway for a chance to transform your home with $5,000 in home improvements, courtesy of Window Concepts. Plus, score an amazing trip for two to the 2025 Gopher football game against Oregon. And it doesn't end there. Second place wins 2025 Gopher football season tickets. Don't miss this chance to upgrade your home and experience the thrill of Gopher football. Register now at gophersports.com/Window Concepts for your chance to win.
Gopher fans, check out the spot for Gopher Weekly with PJ Fleck. The Tipsy Steer in High Pines in Roseville is a great place to watch the games with a large outdoor space to eat, drink, and hang out with your friends. Check this place out. Locally owned refreshing beverages and food sourced from area farmers, serving on menu favorites like bacon lollipops and armadillo eggs. The sassy menu also features brick oven pizzas and acclaimed burgers. Tipsy Steer in High Pines in Roseville, County Road C and Snelling in Roseville, or online at tipsysteer.com. Go Gophers!
Gopher fans, when you want to get around Gold Country safely, securely, and on time, call Carey Minneapolis-St. Paul. Carey Limousines, a global leader in business travel, offering a world-class fleet and reservation staff who make sure you arrive on time, every time. The team's available 24/7, so give them a call whenever you're ready to travel. 612-623-0565, or visit the webpage, CareyMPLS.com. And go Gophers!
Do you know how plastic bottles become shirts, shoes, or backpacks? What happens when your recyclables leave your curb? Can they really become something new? Visit WM.com to learn how WM helps turn your plastic bottles into everyday products, giving materials a second life. WM has the recycling infrastructure, innovation, and expertise to serve our Twin Cities community and care for our planet. The recycling process starts and ends with you. Visit WM.com to learn more.
The game against Iowa on September 21st recognized the 12th annual Celebrate Ag and Food Day at Huntington Bank Stadium. Both the game broadcast and the presentation inside the stadium celebrated the tireless efforts in the agriculture industry. Gopher fans, we can all be proud of the continued efforts, results, and talented people that work in these industries to provide a sustainable food supply with so many changing variables. The Gophers would like to thank the presenting sponsors of this event: CHS, Compeer Financial, Undeniably Dairy, and Beck's.
Hey, Gopher fans. Ready to show your true colors? The University of Minnesota Bookstores has everything you need to gear up for game day. From the latest maroon and gold apparel to exclusive Gopher merchandise, we've got your fan essentials covered. Visit us in-store at Coffin Memorial Union or shop online at bookstores.umn.edu. University of Minnesota Bookstores, your one-stop shop for all things Gopher pride. Sky U Ma.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is all the truck you need with its electrifying twin-turbo V6. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats smooth the shocks when things get bumpy. And the Toyota 4Runner tames the trails when nature plays tough. And that signature power rear window? Oh, yes, sir. Toyota Trucks. Toyota. Let's go places.
It's now time for the AVR Remix on Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck. AVR. Promises made, promises delivered.
Rosemer with a wide side to his right. Waits for the snap and wants to throw. Has time. Rifles it down the near side. Jackson's got it at the 25. Spinning forward. And he's out of bounds at the 21-yard line. 1:52 to go. And a 27-yard pass play. A career-high 10th catch for Jackson. So one final Hail Mary. Let's see if the Gophers can pass rush Garbers. Garbers from his own 40. Rolling left. Now he heaves it towards the center of the field. Lots of bodies down there. Parrish has the interception. His second of the night. And Minnesota has wrapped it up in the Rose Bowl. Knocking off UCLA. Golden Gophers 21. The Bruins 17. Parrish's second interception of the night. His fourth of the season. And the Golden Gophers survive it. They did indeed. That's the AVR Rewind. We thank AVR for their great support of Gopher Athletics. That was kind of fun, Guardsy, that fourth quarter. Not within that highlight, of course, was the great touchdown play to Darius Taylor out of the backfield, which put Minnesota up. Jackson had a great night. Rosemer, great night. Parrish, all kinds of great players. Lindenberg got the interception. Joyner got a key sack.
How about Anthony the 3rd and 2 to Lemecki Brockington?
3rd and 2.
Throwback screen.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
There's some options there.
It was fun. It was fun. Jeremiah, you watched it from the comfort of your own home?
Yeah, the weather wasn't as nice, but it was quite a game. Watching the first half, second half, a completely different team came out, and That was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was great. No doubt about it. And you get that win going into the bye. And as a former player, by the way, if you just joined us, Jeremiah Carter with us with Gopher Athletics, and on their way, Max Brosmer and Daniel Jackson, they were practicing and are we hope en route here soon. That they, as a player, what was it like when you go into a bye week off a win, maybe compared to when you go into the bye week having to sit on a loss?
Yeah, the season, both as a player and as a coach, right? The season is long, right? And it's broken up into these little chunks, and anytime you can gain some momentum, anytime you can kind of go into a bye week or go into a big game and have had that win, had an exciting win, right? Feeling good about the way you played. It's always, it's a boost. It's a huge boost. Injuries don't feel as bad. It's always training room's not quite as busy the next day, and it's great to see them get that win.
So I know Grimmer wants to talk a little bit about revenue sharing. Before we do that, one question I get a lot on NIL, or something I'm always talking about, are the misconceptions. Like, some people maybe don't understand exactly what it is. Sure. Grim mentioned the uncomfortability that a lot of people have had just because if you've grown up on college sports forever, it feels totally different.
Yeah, and here particularly, I mean, in places that have minded the business the right way over the years, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So what are misconceptions that you're still kind of fighting or dealing with, or questions that you get when people are just, whether it's around town or around campus or family gatherings, whatever it is, what are some of those misconceptions that you're dealing with consistently?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that if I could get everybody over the hump on this, our athletes at Minnesota, I can't speak for everybody. I don't know exactly what's going on everywhere else in the country, but I can speak for Minnesota, and I know what's going on at Minnesota. Our athletes are performing work. They are producing value and getting paid for it. And I think that is, the first kind of things that came out on NIL was somebody's getting paid this amount of money to do nothing, right? Or to do one small thing here or there. You've read people getting paid to do volunteer work, right? It's oxymoron, but our athletes are driving up their own NIL value and NIL value for entities like Dinkytown. They're appearing in ads. They're doing in-person appearances. It's real NIL. And if you are a fan of Gopher Sports, if you're a fan of our tremendous student athletes that we have, being a member of Dinkytown Athletes gets you access to that.
And I'd say, too, something that Mark has talked about before on our pregame shows, there's a situation at UNLV here recently where the quarterback said, I was promised this and this didn't happen. Mark has said this consistently, like, what we tell our student athletes and prospective student athletes about whatever is going to happen with them, with Dinkytown or with NIL or whatever, all of that's the obligations are being fulfilled both sides, right? Which is obviously the reputation you want to have and the way you want to run things.
Yeah, correct. And again, it comes back to having a really good relationship with Dinkytown Athletes, with Eric and Rob, and really making sure that from the outset they have wanted to represent the University of Minnesota from the standpoint of doing things the way that we do them at Minnesota, which is doing them the right way. They've had that from the outset, and even when maybe this school or that school is making promises with money they don't have, that's not something that we're going to engage in, and so it's you hear about it when you don't do things the right way, and the absence of that, right, is not necessarily something that's easy to beat your chest about, but we don't have those issues because we don't set ourselves up to be in a bad position.
Last thing, Grimmer, before you can have the floor back, I don't make Mike Grimm money, so I'd love to just roll out with a Dinkytown membership at $500 a month. But you see, like, I buy the hats, I definitely drink the beer, I drink the coffee, my wife's locked in on the coffee. If you're going to the stadium, Parlor Burger is a great way to do it. Like, they've done a good job of all those, I think they call them passive income streams.
Yeah, lots of partnerships.
Right, lots of partnerships. Thousand Hills. Like, there's a million different ways where maybe you don't feel totally comfortable about just cutting a check, or you can't cut a check. there's Grey Duck vodka for you. There's the Duck beer for you. Like, there's a lot of different ways that people can contribute.
Yeah, for sure. There are lots of ways. You know, if you go to DinkyTownAthletes.com, they talk about a lot of the things that they do. You know, having a membership, honestly, from an access perspective, has been tremendous. That's right. Yep. You know, I've got two boys, 12 and 10, and you know, they've now have a autographed Daniel Jackson picture on their wall. They have an autographed Coy Parrish picture on their wall, right? And the reson why they're able to get that's NIL.
Yeah, you didn't bring them to work and get it. You didn't bring them to work. You did it the old-fashioned way.
I bought them just like every other member. So you know, it's great for them to be able to offer those opportunities through Dinkytown Athletes to their members, and really providing that service to University of Minnesota student athletes.
One of the things too I hear staying on along these lines is, in addition to just like Gargi said, sometimes people let's cut a check. Oh, that seems weird. The roster turnover at times, because one of the great things about college sports is you see a kid come in as a 17 or 18-year-old, and he, you know, literally grows into a man at 22 or 23, or, you know, certainly female athletes as well, with all of the great things that's happening there. There's less of that now. It changes things a little bit. How do you? What's your advice to people? I suppose the more money you raise, the more likely it is the roster stays the same, right?
Well, it depends on how good your roster is.
Yeah,
right?
true.
You want to improve it? It's, you know, one thing that we have found over a couple of years now is that money is not the only factor that athletes take into account. I think that's you know, another misperception that we have, is that's all that they're looking at. The fact is, it's part of a whole list of things that recruits look at when they are trying to make a decision, right? What city is it in? Am I close to my parents? What's the education going to be like? What's the degree going to be? You know, do I like the coaching staff? It's a factor. It's not the only factor. It's not the most important factor, but it is a factor. And, you know, for us to have that NIL support there means that it takes it away from a reason for somebody to leave. It also keeps us in the running in the recruiting process
to bring in new people.
Correct. You know, again, you look at our team as it's composed, our football team this year, and you know, in this last offseason, because of the NIL resources we had available, we lost 0 games of playing experience to transfer on defense. You compare that to the year before, we lost 134 games of playing experience on defense. And you saw our defense last year not perform as well, right?
Yeah.
Didn't forget how to coach. Didn't forget, you know, it just a couple injuries. We had lost depth. You know, we had 4 players that went on to be all conference playing on other teams. They would have helped us out tremendously. But now, you know, this last off season, because of the resources available, you know, we're able to add some quality players, able to retain everyone, and you've seen our defense respond.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of watching new players that just got here, it's worked out pretty well at quarterback.
Yeah,
I think we like the new guy.
Doubt.
Yeah, I think we've learned to love the new guy pretty quickly.
No doubt. What a start, and now we're just over halfway through the season, so not just a start, but continuing through it. Hey, let's real quickly mention, for Gopher fans, make sure to stop by the Gopher Garden. It's the pregame fan fest located on Oak Street. It's outside the stadium, starting 3 hours before every home game. Next home game comes a week from Saturday. Of course, we're on a bye week this week, and that is Maryland. That is homecoming. You can experience the Gopher football tailgate pregame radio show with Justin Gard, the Pride of Minnesota marching band pregame concert, and so much more. It's the Gopher Garden. So that's before every home football game. Real quickly, the revenue sharing situation, as you mentioned, there's still some things up in the air. It's totally separate from the NIL.
Yes.
Tell us, just give us a Cliff Notes version of it.
Yeah, so revenue sharing comes out of a legal settlement that's still working its way through in California, and likely starting next year, schools will be allowed to share. Numbers kind of a moving target, somewhere in the 20 to 22 million, kind of in that range, with athletes at the institution. And all of college athletics right now is trying to figure out where they fit into that. Nobody has the answers. Nobody has it solved. But we're all trying to figure out where exactly we fit into it. That'll be separate from anything from an NIL perspective perspective, athletes can still, make appearances or do advertisements, and that would be an addition to it. But this is it's a new frontier for us.
Yeah, and with that, I think people should also know that the $22 million comes out of the budget. So just as a round number, I don't know what the budget is, but for the fun of the discussion, let's say it's $100 million is the revenue that comes in that you're going to spend on travel, on scholarships, on food for the players, not just football. We're talking the whole athletic department. Yeah. So you got 100, all of a sudden overnight 20 to 22 million comes out of that. So there are other places now. It's a little paradoxical in that there's more money than ever coming in, but all of a sudden it becomes a different expenditure sheet.
The expenses went way up. Well, I thankfully, all I have to worry about is NIL, right? And but also, kind of figuring out our way forward in the revenue share. We have a tremendous team, from a revenue generation standpoint, and our budget staff and business office, our Gopher Sports property staff who are selling as many ads as we ever have. All of those things are going to be important. But you look across all of college athletics, nobody has $20 million sitting there waiting to be spent. So there are going to be a lot of decisions that need to get made, and a lot of hard work to get us to there. So we know we're going to compete in this space.
All right, let's take a break. Should we do that? We'll take a break. Thank you, Jeremiah Carter. Give him a round of applause, former Gopher. And we're hoping players will be here when we come back. Stay with us. This is Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield. With PJ Fleck, I want to remind you that you can visit the University of Minnesota bookstore and discover the area's largest selection of U of M and Golden Gopher apparel and novelties for fans of all ages, from the latest fashions to traditional favorites. It's the University of Minnesota bookstore, your one-stop shop. Visit online, bookstores.umn.edu, or on campus at the Memorial Union. We'll give away our $25 gift card a little bit later on during the next commercial break. Hey, how about a big maroon and gold welcome to a couple of players here? We've got Daniel Jackson, Gopher wide receiver, and Gopher quarterback Max Brosmer with us here at the Tipsy Steer in High Pines. Max was 26 of 37, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the go-ahead score late. Daniel Jackson, a career-high 10 receptions in that game. Probably should have had 11. They ruled a pass incomplete that we all thought was probably complete. So 10 for 89 and a key catch on that game-winning drive. So first of all, welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You guys had a little practice today on this bye week. How did that go?
No, it was a great practice, a little young guy practice to get some of the guys reps that needed to get reps. And no, the guys looked great. They got after it. They competed, and it was a fun day out in the sun. So.
Yeah, very good. Max, you have made a habit now of meeting with Justin Gard in the middle of the field after a couple of great wins. That was a fun game at UCLA on Saturday night. How much fun was it for you? It was great for us to watch, for sure.
It was absolutely incredible. It's always a dream to play in events and stadiums like that, to be able to bring that team to the Rose Bowl and, us to compete for a whole game and play a whole game together and win in that stadium is pretty cool. And then going up, watching those games in the Rose Bowl, actually be able to win a football game in that stadium, it's unbelievable.
So you can be honest, is that annoying when you're just trying to celebrate and either get off the field because there's so many people, or you're just trying to get in the locker room and then I appear out of nowhere and just stop you and go, hey, Paul said this was good?
Well, it's usually a good thing if you're trying to find
true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, I think we have our moments after the games where you can usually pull me aside for a second, bring me back down to reality after.
That's right. So take us in. The defense gets the stop. Jack Henderson gets the tackle. About a yard shy of the first down. Looks a little dicey there for a minute. You're getting the ball back. Take us through that moment when the punt's coming to, all right, we got to get him back. We got to get out there. What are you going through? What are you telling your teammates? Kind of how are you approaching that whole thing?
Yeah, my whole thing is, create a message where it's not, don't get too amped up. Where, we know that we can have the ball in our hands to finish the game, or as best we can with the time allotted. And for us, it was stay calm, guys. Just play one play at a time. We can't score on one play. Just be happy with the 4 and 5 yard dink and dunks on the field, and take the explosives when we get them. And I thought that one that DJ had on the sideline down the field, those are plays that are huge, that create those 2-minute drives that move the field and flip the field for us. And for guys to make those plays throughout that drive is really important. And those guys put the team on their back and ultimately finish with a successful touchdown.
You look comfortable in those situations. You had the game winner on Saturday, the game winner the week before. North Carolina, you put the team in position to win late in that game up in Ann Arbor. Same thing. What about your makeup or your competitive nature has made you comfortable in those spots?
I think for me, it's just not making the moment bigger than it is. I think at the end of the day, it's football. It's still continuing to play with what we've practiced throughout the whole week. And executing the small things, and that's what creates 2-minute drives, is executing the small details that put together the big drives. And like I said earlier, if you're focused on making the big play, right when the drive starts, you probably won't go anywhere. And just knowing that, the communication piece is at a premium, and the guys have taken pride with that, and they've executed that at a very high level.
Daniel, that pass he's talking about, was that the most open you were all day? Because I feel like all your catches were contested, which is a credit to you. But was that? I mean, all of a sudden you were just wide open, pretty much, right?
All right, yeah, that was probably the most space I had, probably that going in that whole game. But yeah, Max put a great ball. He has the ice in his veins, so put a great ball right before I made the breaks, and it was timing, and it was just lovely. So got the drives continuing to start it and downfield, so it was great for our team.
Yeah, lovely. I think that's a good way to describe it. It was very lovely.
You've had, go ahead.
I've said lovely. Yeah, I thought it was lovely. But 10 catches, as Grimmer mentioned, probably 11. The offense has changed so much that your first handful of seasons here, it might be like 2 or 3 games to get that many targets. Certainly Max throwing the ball 37 times. You have to be loving the way the offense has evolved this year.
Yeah, I love the way we've involved, and we've involved everyone, and we also evolved from even last year and the years prior to that. But yeah, having this addition with Max, I mean, it's great knowing that he always has any receiver can get the ball on any play. He goes through all his reads, but also knowing we trust him more than anything, and we know he's gonna make a smart decision with the ball. So credit to him.
Yeah, and you've had many lovely catches over the course. We know the toe tapper last year to help win that game against Nebraska. You had the great catch up at Michigan, which got a lot of the highlights. You had the catch into the sticks that they ruled incomplete, but you also had a catch on Saturday night where the guys basically draped over you. Your back's to Max puts it to the outside so that only you can get it, and you were still able to hold on. Walk us through that one a little bit, and what the skill set and the drills that you maybe go through allow you to make catches like that.
All right, so you get the play call. It's just a routine play call, and then you see the leverage that you get and the spacing that you have out there. And then Max with the ball placement is incredible. He's knowing that the DB is sitting inside of me. And then kind of just falling out of my route, trying to attack the ball. It was a little 909 crime, but he was able to hold on to me a little bit. And then just continuing to focus throughout the ball. I mean, throughout seeing the ball through your hands in the catch point. So I'd say focus is the main thing in those type of plays.
Yeah, normally if I'm calling the play, I just call it as I see it. I didn't trust my eyes. If you go back and listen, I'm like, did he catch that? Like, there's no way he caught that, right? And then you caught it.
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, pretty good. The last play, the touchdown. The play right before that, you were in the end zone. Mm-hmm. Max put it out there. It was defended pretty well. You lose your helmet.
Yeah.
So now maybe the game-deciding play, Max Brosmer, I know you rely on all those guys all the way down to the running backs and tight ends and everybody, but let's face it, the guy's got 10 catches. All of a sudden, he's not available for what might be the biggest play, probably was the biggest play of the game. So what's the mindset? I know you tried to sneak back in, too, which was pretty smart on your part, but what was the mindset in the huddle knowing that Jackson's out, and now you've got the rest of the group in there to try to score a touchdown?
Well, the funny part was we were actually lined up, and D-Jack was lined up in his spot. And I'm like, all right, here we go. And then as I'm about to start talking to the O-line, they're like, 9, you got to get out. And I was like, okay. Ultimately, we know that anybody can execute the play that we called, and we did. I think everyone got to the right spots in the field and in the end zone, and they played the perfect defense for what the play we had called, honestly, and the guys got to the right spots, and that's what ultimately allowed Darius to open up. And we executed that play at the best level as we could, and it was the small details that allowed us to score there.
It felt like, I'm sure this probably isn't true, but it felt like the one time that they weren't completely aware of where Darius was in the passing game, right? I mean, they were pretty, because obviously you throw it to him a lot too, right. So UCLA knows that. So when you see that and you go through your progressions and he's that wide open, I mean, that has to be like Christmas.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, they did a really good job of taking our checkdowns away the whole game, bringing pressures where we had to utilize different ways to slide our O-line to allow Darius to get out. But it was a little riskier if you're going to do that. And so, Darius had to stay in protection for most of the night. And I felt like the one time that he was able to get out was the last play. And we were in a simple 6-man protection, and he got out and got to the right spot with his eyes around and ended up scoring.
What was your perspective there, Daniel, when you were told you had to leave? So take us, what did you see?
I'm right next to Coach Simon, and watching the play, I have complete faith in my guys. I knew we was going to go down, and, everyone was going to do their job, and we was going to be put in the position to go win the game. And watching the play happen, and, seeing the ball get thrown to DT, it was like wondrous, because you understand that was like the last read in the play. So you see that because it was a tag for maybe a different player, and then he comes open there, and it was nice because there's nothing else out there. It's another space, and we get to celebrate with our boys.
Yeah, Max, what was the plan if Darius was covered there after all of that?
Well, he opened up because the guy who's covering him actually covered someone else. So that was kind of like my last kind of outlet. If that happens, you kind of have to use your feet a little bit and go find someone else and get open. It was third down, though, right? So we had one more play off to get on the fourth down. So we could have, saved the play and threw the ball out of bounds and tried something different.
Or kicked a field goal to tie it, which you avoided, right?
Yeah,
which was nice to avoid overtime. Nobody likes overtime, so get rid of that for sure. On that play, too, I think there was a thought, at least I thought maybe the whole design was to set it up for Darius, but he was not the primary guy on that. If it comes to him, it comes to him, but the play wasn't necessarily designed to be, we're going to do all this stuff so that he comes free.
He was the 5th read in the progression. So we were trying to get to the other side of the field, and everything kind of just pushed over, and it just happened to be open, and it popped.
On that play, then you have to watch. So they'd been blitzing, it seemed, a lot.
Right.
They didn't that play for whatever reason. Were you surprised by that? And then how quickly do you have to recognize no blitz and then see the matchups and then go through those reads?
Yeah, there's a couple different options on defense there. If you blitz, you probably have to play more of a man coverage defense or more of a bracket coverage to try to cover the one-on-ones. But in that situation, they were going to try to hold us and keep us to where we had to force the ball into a tight window or throw it out of bounds. And they just dropped the defense there and just rushed for. And that was the perfect call for the defense. Honestly, we progressed through the play, and a credit to Coach Harbaugh for calling that play. I think we executed at a high level, but it was the play call they got there.
Yeah, and the screen game has been good all year.
Oh, yeah.
You had a key one to Brockington in that drive.
3rd and 2, yeah. Great catch by him, too, get the first down. He took a hit there, too, and he held on to that football. It was awesome.
Yeah, complete trust in Mekhi right there, knowing he's going to go down and get those 2 yards, those tough 2 yards, and be able to put us in a position to go win the game, truly, because if he doesn't get those 2 yards, or if anything happens on that play, we're in a tough position to maybe have to kick the field goal right there, or, who knows what happens. But him being able to go down and make that clutch play for us is crucial for that drive.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, hey, let's take another break. We'll come back. We have more to talk about with Max Brosmer and Daniel Jackson. We're at the Tipsy Steer in High Pines. It's Gopher Football Weekly from Learfield.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is all the truck you need with its electrifying twin-turbo V6. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats smooth the shocks when things get bumpy. And the Toyota 4Runner tames the trails when nature plays tough. And that signature power rear window? Oh, yes, sir. Toyota trucks. Toyota. Let's go places.
The game against Iowa on September 21st recognized the 12th annual Celebrate Ag and Food Day at Huntington Bank Stadium. Both the game broadcast and the presentation inside the stadium celebrated the tireless efforts in the agriculture industry. The Gophers would like to thank the following participating sponsors: Ag Country Farm Credit, Bushel Boy Farms, Hormel, Minnesota Biofuels Association, Minnesota Corn Growers Association, Minnesota Soybean, and Brownfield Ag News for their continued support.
When we say that Cub milk is the freshest in town, we mean it. Less than 48 hours from farm to store fresh. We guarantee 7 days or more of freshness. It all starts with local dairy farmers who take great care in making sure all the cows are happy and healthy. We support local farm families 365 days a year. And that makes our milk even more delicious. So you always get the freshest milk and the biggest smiles.
You can guarantee yourself a Minnesota maroon and gold win when you sell your business with Sunbelt Business Advisors. Sunbelt is a local alumni-owned company and proud sponsor of Gopher Athletics. Sunbelt provides business owner brokerage services to small businesses as well as mergers and acquisition services for companies up to $150 million in revenue. Are you thinking about selling? Sunbelt can help you make the most from your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com for a free confidential value range. Minnesota's largest seller of companies. sunbeltminnesota.com.
Are you prepared?
And heroes be honored with a Chick-fil-A Kickin' for Chicken promotion. One nominee selected for each home game to kick a 10-yard field goal. If they make it, they'll win a prize pack and 100 free meal cards. If they miss, they still walk away with a prize pack and 100 free sandwiches. Nominate someone now, one of your heroes, by visiting the Sign Up to Win page at gophersports.com. Also want to thank Dan Robotham, Michael Tackett, and Paul Rovnak, all with our broadcast operations and football office. All right, we have our two guys up here, about 5 minutes left in the show. They are in the middle of a bye week, so did it come at the right time, coming off of back-to-back wins, or do you wish you could, Daniel, just keep on rolling with the game this Saturday?
Well, obviously, every football player wishes they can, keep playing, but the body can only handle so much. So I think it definitely came at the right time. It's not exactly halfway, but, it's a little over halfway there. So it'll be nice to be able to get our bodies back and, rest the guys and, get guys reps who need to get reps. So I think it came at the great time.
So Daniel, take us back to you can tell me, December, January, when you first meet Max. I know you went to Detroit for the bowl game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, everyone knows why he's coming in. He's coming in to be the guy, as your head coach has said. So how quickly did you feel comfortable or feel ready or go, okay, yeah, I see what's going on here? What kind of first impression did he make?
So, yeah, my first time meeting Max was he came on his official, and a lot of the guys, like the leaders on the team, we went on a little dinner. And it was wonderful. We met his parents, and you can see that Max was a well-mannered, and he was mature, and that he was really about his business. He was coming off of a great season, and he had his last year. This is going to be his last senior year coming up. So we were kind of on the same page with knowing this was going to be our last season. So I thought that was great, knowing that we're going to have to leave it all out there. So
it's great he's polite at dinner. Mm-hmm. When did you go, oh yeah, he's going to give me the ball, he can throw it too, this is catchable?
Yeah, so my first few reps with practice, watching Max, I guess it was like the bowl. I want to say you came in bowl prep. It was a little bit like that. So just watching him do little things here and there, I was like, okay, yeah, he has talent. So it was definitely a first eye thing. So seeing him first sight.
And then, Max, you invited these guys down to your place in Georgia, and that's been written about and talked about. Daniel had to stay for an extra day. You were getting your diploma, right? You're graduating, so you stay up here, and then you join the guys in progress. How do you think that trip helped with some of the success we're seeing now offensively, especially?
I thought Daniel was trying to avoid coming down for a week when he said that he was staying up for a day. I did that stuff at New Hampshire. I planned that trip like 3 years prior. And COVID, and people couldn't travel at some years, and so like having the guys come down the last year of my New Hampshire year, I saw a huge change in how we played in the field that year, and I was like, I wonder if these guys will be able to do that with me here for our last year. And most of the guys, it was the last year that came down, and they all bought into it, and it was like, yeah, let's go 100%. And so it was amazing. I think, and that kind of stuff we talked about, that I threw to Daniel during the 2-minute drive. We hadn't thrown that ball in weeks, but we threw that a lot in summer, and a lot in the off-season workouts. And so that was an example of how that stuff actually comes to fruition on the field. The little things that you don't notice that we kind of see behind the scenes, that all plays into successful drives and successful games.
We got about a minute left. We had Jeremiah on talking about NIL and the importance of that and how it can help make the program competitive and all those things. With a minute left, we should mention there's a premiere today. You guys are going to have football cards. Players for the Gophers are going to have football cards made. Yeah. They go on sale today, I believe.
They do.
How exciting is that for you guys?
That's really exciting, especially knowing that our cards are out there and whoever can pick them up. I mean, good luck. I know there's some special ones out there, so that's going to be exciting.
OnItAthlete.com. I had to put my glasses on to read this fine print here. OnItAthlete.com is the web address, and I mean, you guys are on video games now. You got like baseball cards. I mean, I grew up collecting baseball cards. I mean, you guys are living the life.
Yeah, that's the real. Yeah. I still have my whole pack of football cards in my room from when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah. So now you got your own.
I got my own. Yeah.
On at athlete.com. Guardsy, good to see you. Enjoy the rest of your bye week.
Yes, sir.
Guys, you enjoy the bye week, and we'll see you for homecoming.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So there, a big round of applause for the two guys here, Max Brosmer and Daniel Jackson. It was fun. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield.
Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Live from Tipsy Steer and High Pines, Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck has been presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck has also been brought to you by Tipsy Steer and High Pines, located at County Road C in Snelling, proud sponsor of Gopher Football, and by Cub, the official grocer of Gopher Athletics. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gopher Sports Network.